I liked the first two Devil May Cry games, but I definitely did not love them, and my overall reaction to them could be summarized as one big, They were fun to play, but nothing that special. Well, I'm pleased to say that Devil May Cry 3 clicked for me in a way that the other two didn't, and is by far the most fun I've had with the series so far. The combat is probably the best yet. With a wide variety of weapons, styles, and techniques to choose from. It's more similar to the combat system of the first game, and going through this one I am starting to see more why people disliked the second game. The second game's combat really wasn't all that refined, despite still being good, and didn't have the same elegance as the first game's combat. Devil May Cry 3 takes what was good about the first game's combat systems, incorporates a few of the elements from the second, and really polishes it up, resulting in gameplay that is both incredibly varied and fun, and does require skill while also giving the player lots of options for how to defeat enemies and solve problems. The core combat is great, but what really makes Devil May Cry 3 stand out from the first two is that it actually tries to improve in other areas as well. While the story is still not anything that remarkable, there was some actual effort put into it this time. Instead of the typical big evil threatening world hero has to stop them plot, there's a bit more focus on the characters. One of the main antagonists is Virgil, Dante's twin brother. Both of them are sons of Sparda, a legendary demon warrior who actually turned on the other demons in order to protect humanity. Dante doesn't seem to have much interest in his demonic heritage, and is content to just live his life and leave humans alone. Virgil, on the other hand, wishes to become more powerful and embrace the demonic blood that runs through his veins, and does whatever he has to in order to achieve his goals. This ends up putting the brothers at odds, and throughout the events of the game they are forced to fight. Despite them being enemies though, they are still brothers, and you can tell that on some level they do still care about each other and don't really want to fight. The other characters are also fairly interesting as well. Their dialogue and character development isn't particularly well written, but they are fun to watch. Overall, I can say I liked and actually cared about the characters, which is a lot more than I can say for the first two Devil May Cry games. And Dante's finally started to grow on me. In the first two games I thought he was about as interesting and engaging as a plank of wood, but here he actually shows some real personality. He's cocky and arrogant, but underneath it all he does have a good heart, and tries to do the right thing. And his interactions with the others can be quite amusing.
Leave now, mortal! The likes of you are forbidden in this land! You are powerless, are not worthy to set foot here!
Wow, I've never seen a talking mud before. You know, in a dog show, you'd definitely take first place.
You are the human make a mockery of me?
Easy, Fido. How about I take you out for a walk? Come on, puppy, let's go.
You'll regret this, you worm!
It's showtime. Come on.
And this is as good a segue as any into the boss fights, which are frankly awesome. The bosses in the first two games ranged from good to okay, but even the best ones weren't anything that memorable. Here though, they really step up their game. The designs of the bosses are incredibly varied and cool, all of them require actual skill and strategy to defeat, and most of them have interesting personalities that make fighting them all the more enjoyable. When it comes to the normal enemies in the game, there's quite a wide variety of opponents to battle, and while the game does end up reusing the same enemies quite a bit, there's enough variety and variation that this is okay. When it comes to the map and environments, the game is quite nice to look at, and there are a lot of cool looking and well designed set pieces to explore and navigate through. Sometimes figuring out the way forward can be a little confusing and annoying, and toward the end of the game it does reuse a lot of the same maps again, but the game is fun enough that this is ultimately forgivable. Overall, I was really impressed by Devil May Cry 3. It's a solid game through and through, and it really sucked me in a way that neither Devil May Cry 1 or 2 managed. It's not perfect, but it's incredibly fun, and I'll definitely be playing it again. My final score is an 8 out of 10, though I would recommend the Special Edition, as that one is nicer to beginners than the original. So what do you think? Have you played Devil May Cry 3? Which Devil May Cry game is your favorite? Whatever you think, be sure to let me know in the comments below. If you like what I do, feel free to subscribe and follow me on Twitter. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.